Hey y'all, happy Friday. I hope you had a great day and you are headed into your weekend to hopefully give yourself some rest, relaxation, respite, whatever you need to decompress from the week. I hope you all are doing that for yourselves. Just want to jump on here real quickly because we're about to get out of here and go to a rival game. so, Gen Z, 1997 to 2012. That is, yeah, Gen Z. 1997 to 2012. So we're talking about 26 to 11. That is this Gen Z group. There's so much you can say about Gen Z. They are full of life, so creative. They are well ahead of their years. They have already, in their short lifespan, right? Almost 10 years removed for me, which is kind of crazy, but almost 10 years. Not quite. They've experienced so much. And I think it's very important that we take time to listen to them. They are facing so many dynamic circumstances in their lives. They're being pushed things from media, friends, family, all types of sources. And sometimes, you can be on two ends of the spectrum. They just don't listen. They don't want to say anything, right? Or they're just out of control and nobody can get through to them, and neither are true, right? You can get to them. You can talk to them, but you have to listen. They're not going to open up if you don't listen, right? They're not just young people without any sense of morality or other people. And I'm not talking about young people that are in this generation that do things that we know are just ridiculous, right? Maybe there's a small group, right? And working in that field, I know it is a very small population of young people who struggle, with like the morality of things. But for the most part, young people just want to be heard. They want their voices to be valued. They want their opinions to be lifted up. And if we don't take time, we are going to lose them for sure. They are going to stay in their own way. They're not going to want to listen to your advice or to what you have to say, right? Because they don't feel valued. They don't feel respected. They don't feel like they matter. And we really, really have to start paying attention to how are we taking time to account for their thoughts when we're making our decisions. Yes, some of them are not of age to make decisions for their lives, but how are we taking into account how what we decide affects them? And for those that are of age, how are we taking into account that they're not just mindlessly walking through the world? They have an idea, they have a thought, they have something that they want to share with the world, and they need sometimes for us to be their advocates because they're not the ones that have all the experience yet. They're not out of school. They're not degreed completely yet, right? They might be in trade. They might not be doing traditional schooling at all. And sometimes they need advocates. They need encouragers. They need supporters that will push them towards where it is they're trying to go. So we cannot give up on them thinking that they just don't want to listen, even when it may appear to be that way. And when I say appear to be that way, yes, how many of you have ever been in a space where you're like, no, I don't need their help, I can do it on my own? I know I have. And if you're honest with yourself, some of us still do that to this day. And it's not smart. And it's not true. You cannot do things by yourself. You cannot go through this life as an island. And unfortunately, society more and more is creating this narrative that you just go for it. Get yours, do you. Well, you can't do you and get yours without people pushing you, prompting you, encouraging you, setting you before people. You can't. And if you think you can, either you're going to be giving yourself a whole bunch of hard work, or you're not going to ever get there. So you have to think, when I'm considering that, right? Young people are probably considering that too. Let me just do it. Especially if people aren't listening to them. You know what? I'm going to just go for mine. I'm going to get it done. Because they're not listening. They don't care. If I try to talk to them about topics that are difficult, that are hard, and we're going to get into it. And you know what? Even as I'm saying that, we might invite some Gen Zers, right? In our next video. But hard topics, difficult things that they want to talk about, that we shut down, especially in church. And we have to stop doing that. Because the world is teaching them, the world is giving them a narrative, from our boys who are becoming men, our girls who are becoming women. Some of the narratives, some of the things you don't like, some of the things you see is a result of neglect from us stepping up and teaching. One thing I've always said, and I've told my nieces, I've told my sisters, my loved ones, you can ask me anything. Because I never want another generation to feel like I felt when it was like, we can't ask questions, or they're going to give us a washed out answer. And washed out can be both in the world, like, oh, it ain't that big of a deal, don't worry about it, and to the church, Jesus got it, he gonna help you, you just need to talk to him. Well, sometimes I can't. How did you navigate that? How did you walk through that? And if we can't get into the nitty gritty things without being judgmental, but holding up truth, without being standoffish, but maintaining boundaries, and without being sticks in the mud, and knowing how to have a good time, we are going to lose our young people. And I know we don't want that. I don't want that. Why am I getting emotional? Because I love these young people. I don't want them to be lost because we're afraid to talk to them. We have to talk to them. We have to talk to them. We have to be willing to hear them. So when your baby who's 11, and I'm just using the age range for purposes of this video, who's 11 says, Mom, Dad, guardian, loved one, I need to talk to you about something. Don't push it off as later, because later may not come. We see babies making life-altering decisions, and they're not even old enough to understand the gravity of those decisions. All the way to your 26-year-olds who are adults and who have value and have words to share. Let's not brush them off. Let's not be so busy that we lose a whole generation to the world, church. And even in regular society, let's not lose a whole generation because we fed up. It takes patience to lead. I'm going to put a quote up here that I read, but it was talking about how it takes patience, and there was something else, and I can't think of it. But to lead, it really does. And we can't get winded. We have to stand strong so we can support them. So I hope you've been encouraged. I hope you've heard something that I've shared and that you can take the nugget and think about that as you're dealing with the Gen Z group, 11 to 26. And somebody said, who came up with these? Well, you know, it could vary. If you see other charts, let me know. Overall, we know it's that age group. So I love y'all. I'm about to head out of here. I'll see you later.